Mark Schlereth. Hi, Mark. How are you?
I'm good, DMac. How are you guys?
Well, when you guys completely misrepresent almost everything I say on such a consistent basis, I think, listen, Red Dawn. And by the way, when you were asked by FS1 your favorite football movie, and you don't say Red Dawn, I don't know what you're thinking. I mean, you took it a little too seriously there, pal.
Yeah, I probably should have rethought that. That was a great that football scene was tremendous by me, but the rest of the movie absolutely blew. So I've got it on a loop because I'm trying to gain myself some residuals. So I'm going to try to make $20 this month by just playing it constantly over here from the TBS that aired it the other day. So that's good.
What's your mental thought when Mike just starts going off and he's saying things that just aren't true? Or you just sort of go along with it because he's your pal? Is that what it is?
What did he say that wasn't? Enlighten me to say what wasn't true because the way because I listened to it yesterday to you for a while yesterday.
All right.
And
what was I getting wrong?
Well, I mean, you talked about how you were talking about Super Bowl championship caliber quarterbacks, and I'm assuming you were talking about first rounders, right?
Yeah. When do you think I think you should draft a quarterback?
I think you should. You think you should draft one early,
as high as possible, but not strictly in the top 5, Mark. If you can, fine, but you should move up as high as possible to get your guy. That doesn't have to be in the top 5. And if Aaron Rodgers was in a draft, what do you think I would sit around to the 20s to get Aaron Rodgers? I'd move up. I'd move up to get him.
Yeah, I think my point. I won one with a 6th round quarterback, and we had another 6th round quarterback on our roster that ended up going to a Super Bowl.
So is that your strategy?
No, absolutely not. It's my strategy is to make sure you evaluate the guys and get yourself somebody who you think gives you the best opportunity. But again, we have seen, especially around here. Come on, there hasn't been, other than Von Miller in the last 10 years, there hasn't been one first rounder that saw a second contract here.
Okay.
So it's not.
So what do you stop?
No.
Stop looking?
No, you don't stop looking. You do a better job of evaluating.
Of course.
Right? That's the point. But, Tom Brady has been to 9 Super Bowls. I mean, it's
How many other 6th-round draft picks have been successful during the Tom Brady era?
Well, during the Tom Brady era, probably not a whole lot. But,
none. It's him.
But you act like the only place you can get a quarterback is in the first round.
No, not the only
true.
place, but the best chance for success is there.
Well,
the best chance for success, not the only chance,
right.
The best chance.
But I would tell you, and I totally understand. I totally understand where you're coming from, and I get that. But I would also tell you that there are plenty of reaches, which makes it very difficult when the value. And this is one of the problems, and this is why I honestly had a long chat with the Players Association when they decided to go with this rookie wage scale, and one of my big complaints was when you do something like this, one, it mitigates your responsibility to do your work. So when you draft a guy, back in the day, when you drafted Sam Bradford and you were wrong, when you drafted Jamarcus Russell and you were wrong, it hamstrung your franchise.
Crazy.
Now you can just take a flyer on any Tom, Dick, or Harry, and if he doesn't work out, it's not that big a deal, right? And so ultimately, I think it hinders. It's really good for the franchises that do their work, but there's plenty of franchises that on a wing and a prayer, that's how we got Paxton Lynch. Come on.
It was a bad move.
It's a bad move.
I wouldn't have done it. All right.
Right.
Listen, I got to squash something before we even get too far. Chad's being so patient. And to do that, I bring on Mike Evans. Hello, Mike.
Hey, DMac, I wonder, do you feel relieved? The fact that, they say the truth will set you free. The fact that it's out there now that you're actually rooting against Drew Lock.
There you go.
To be able to make your point.
There you go.
Does this make you feel better that we're all aware of it now?
There you go.
That it's out there?
There's the false narrative. There's the classic Mike Evans just saying things as if they're truth when they're not, and he knows that it's not. Or at least he he's casting doubt upon it. So I'm here to straighten it out, and I'm here to do something to eliminate this conversation.
But before you do that, can we just look at the preponderance of evidence here, okay?
Oh, here we go.
You continue to pine for Josh Allen. Anybody can look at your Twitter timeline, and just as recently as a week ago, you were saying, well, if they'd only taken Josh Allen,
that's true.
They'd be in the playoffs
That
right
is
now.
true.
You gotta let that go. Okay?
Mike.
The past is
Mike,
the past.
Mike, were Drew Lock and Josh Allen in the same draft?
No.
Okay, so how in the world am I rooting against Drew Lock if I say Josh Allen would have already had the Broncos in the playoffs if they weren't available at the same exact time?
But you continue to argue that they should have taken a quarterback in the top 5.
Of course they should have.
That move, first of all, I think if you look at the quarterbacks that went in the top 10, the first 4 that went, I mean, Baker Mayfield's at a crossroads. Sam Darnold is on the way to being a bust. Josh Rosen's already a bust. And Josh Allen is a good quarterback.
Oh, hold on.
Who was the quarterback of an offense that was 23rd in the league in scoring last year. They got to where they got last year because of outstanding defense and a terrific running game.
So I guess the fact that he was responsible for 29 touchdowns against 9 interceptions was absolutely irrelevant, and they were in the playoffs. That doesn't matter.
They were the 23rd highest scoring offense in the NFL.
29 touchdowns. Okay, 29.
DMac, end of the day, it's 23rd.
They're
below average. 23rd out of 32 teams. Do the math. That's a below average offense. And the other bit of evidence I do need to bring up, and don't tell me it's coincidence, okay? The fact that you have the Broncos losing to both the Jets and the Bills, come on now. Tell me that wasn't fueled by the idea that you want Sam Darnold and especially Josh Allen
Not
to
true.
beat Drew Lock.
See?
I rest my case.
Not true. The Jets game is on a short week in the East Coast. It's on a Thursday night. Traditionally, that has been a very difficult game for road teams to win, especially for the Broncos going back east. Period. That is the only reason I have them losing to the Jets. The Bills, the Bills are a playoff team. And if you want to hang me on that one, fine. I understand where you would go. So I'm here to straighten it out. I'm here to straighten it out once and for all in a way that you, Mike Evans, Mark, I'm sorry you're silent here.
You're good. You're good.
It's important that you're here, too, so you understand this. Mike, you've got the Broncos at 9-7. I've got them now at 8-8. And by the way, we're changing things as we go. So if something happens like Cam Newton comes to the Patriots and it's not Jarrett Stidham, I'm looking at that game different. If you want to stay the same with your picks, fine. I don't care. But I reserve the right to make changes if things change. That's all. So I got him at 8-8. You got him at 9-7. Mike, to prove that I am not rooting against Drew Lock in a way that you can understand, if the Broncos with Drew Lock as a starter, not without Drew Lock and not with Brandon Allen, Allentown, but with Drew Lock as a starter, if he starts 16 games and he doesn't get 8 wins, I will get a Drew Lock tattoo.
Whoa! Repeat that one more time so I can write this down.
Again, based on 16 starts by Drew Lock, okay? So, I mean, if Drew Lock gets hurt and misses 5 games, I mean, I'll take it to the next season, by the way. I'll go on to the next season. But as long as it's a 16-game schedule, and if for whatever reason the NFL changes and it goes down to 12 games, let's revisit it, okay? And I'll find some common ground with you that would make sense to prove to you that I'm not rooting against Drew Lock. So based on a 16-game schedule and Drew Lock starting those 16 games, I've got him predicted at 8-8. You got him at 9-7. If they get anything under 8 wins, I will get a Drew Lock tattoo.
8 or under?
I predict him 8-8. You got him 9-7. I think 8's a pretty fair number to prove that I'm rooting for Drew Lock, unless you want to argue with me and you want to raise that number somehow.
Nope, I think that's solid.
Which of course is the same number of wins, 8, in which you got the Tebow tattoo.
You got actually a lot. You got a lot of tattoos on your body, like butterflies and stuff. So you probably don't mind that.
Again, Mike Evans saying something that is simply not true. Again,
Will you get the tattoo on your butt cheek? That's all I want to know.
I reserve the right to get the tattoo where
Is it
I
Drew
want
Lock's
to get it.
face? Is it a caricature of Drew Lock?
We can talk about it. We can talk about it. We
Wow.
can work it out. But 8 was the magic number for the Tebow tattoo. I'll do a Lock tattoo. And Mike, to back this up, I will say you, my friend, aren't responsible for anything at all. I won't expect any, if I succeed, you don't have to pay any cost. 0. This is all on me. All right? And
I like that. And actually, I already got my idea for the tattoo.
All right,
Okay?
good. And
All right? It's a Buzz Lightyear tattoo.
a Buzz Lightyear tattoo.
Yeah,
All right.
nice.
Sounds good. And I'll give you this too. On the Bills, even though I do have the Bills beating the Broncos, Mike, what do you want? You want me to shave my head, shave my eyebrows? If the Bills win, what do you want? Something I can do to myself. What do you want?
I'll tell you what, Mark, how about you and I, we get the help of the listeners tomorrow and we'll come up with something.
No, I love it. I love it.
And that will be if the Bills win. Even though I'm predicting them to win, I will face some sort of punishment if the Bills win.
I got to ask Chad this, though. He's well-educated from the University of Colorado. Chad, does DMac Doth protest too much?
Oh, my God! Unbelievable! Unbelievable!
I have done shows with both you guys. You both are skilled radio professionals at creating straw men, creating reframing arguments of other people's points and statements.
Wow, I thought I had really thought this whole thing through, and I did not expect that response.
No one expected that, but that's why Mike is awesome.
Unreal. I thought it was bulletproof right there.
No, I like it. Let's do it.
Let's do it. There's nothing for you to do. It's just
I
for
know
me
that's the beauty of it.
Right.
See, and if you remember, you were there the night of the Tipo tattoo.
I
and
know.
You kept going on. You were amazed. You kept.
What did I say right before it happened?
You kept going. Right before you said, you're betting against yourself.
Right.
You lost a bet to yourself.
Right.
There was nobody else had any skin in the game. And that's what you're doing here, so I respect it. I like it.
And I did whisper to Mike. I mean, Mark, I'm telling you, Chad. I mean, I literally was right there, and I said to him right before it happened, I go, Mike, you really don't have to do this.
I stopped in for a few minutes. I don't know if you remember. I was there too.
Oh, I just, Mike, you don't really have to.
I couldn't believe he was doing it.
Oh, I couldn't believe it either.
But apparently you'll be joining them.
Well, no, I'm not going to be. No,
I hope so.
No, I'm not good. No, you don't hope so because you're rooting for the Broncos to go 9-7.
I see. That's right. I get it now. I get it.
Rooting for the Broncos. We all think.
But here's the problem: if it gets close, we're going to be rooting against the Broncos.
Yes,
just to
want
get
the tattoo.
tattoo.
Yeah, they've already been eliminated, so do they really need to win this game?
Right. Yeah.
So
we're not state sponsored. We can switch. We can flip the switch to get you a tattoo.
All right, that's the deal. I hope that answers that foolish, silly thing you've been saying that DMac's rooting against Drew Lock. I hope that at least ends that.
I think it. I'm glad that we were able to clear the room.
By the Raiders. It felt like they were drafting Ronaldo Nehemiah back in the day. They just go for flat out the fastest dude out